The Knicks, 2-1 to wrap up the first week of the season. It was all good at the Garden, but were some efficiency exposed in the road loss to Miami. Let's get a grade on the opening week with the Dean of Knicks Film School and, of course, the host of the NBA Takedown, Jonathan Macri. J-Mac, what's going on, man? Let's take these people to school. Saw you on TV last night, Mr. Fancy Pants. Thanks for hanging with this, our small folk here. 1 week under their belt. And since hiring Mike Brown was obviously the big news in the offseason, let's start with his coaching grade 3 games into the season. Mike Brown gets a what?
Well, I appreciate the kind words. I will pay it forward, and I will have some kind words from Mike Brown, even though they are coming off their first loss of the season. I'm going to give him an A, and maybe that is a little premature. But if we're judging Mike Brown by the things that he was brought in here to do, which is to essentially keep the Knicks with a lot of their good habits that they obviously had because they just made an Eastern Conference Finals, but instill some new habits and traits in them where they were maybe lacking last season or the last few seasons, I think he's kind of checking all the boxes. The offense looks good. You know, I know they didn't hit a lot of shots last night against the Miami Heat, but they were taking good shots, quality shots, good three-pointers. They're playing hard for him. And, you know, as I know we're going to get into in a bit, a lot of the habits that I think drove some fans a little up a wall with the last coach, he's showing progress on those. And, you know, the results haven't been perfect, but for the most part, I think these things are working.
Yeah, I mean, a deeper rotation was promised, and the deeper rotation is what we've got early in the season. One thing that kind of stood out last night was when Jalen Brunson went to the bench, the Heat launched an 11-0 run, and the Knicks went 4.5 minutes without scoring. So 1 week in, are you trusting this bench and the depth of this roster?
If the bench is fully healthy or mostly healthy, I'll say, I trust it. And the guy that I'm kind of gearing my answer towards is Deuce McBride. So Deuce McBride was in the Knicks lineup for the first 2 games. He obviously started the second game, but he missed last night for personal reasons. I think they really felt his absence because he is kind of the glue that holds whatever lineup he's in together. Without him, you know, there was a stretch there where they had to rely on, you know, essentially Tyler Kolek and Yabusele and Clarkson and guys like this to try to initiate offense when Brunson sat and Towns was in foul trouble. And I don't think the bench is quite good enough against a defense that, like, look, it's Miami Heat, they're not a great defense at this point with their personnel, but they're a SPO coach team. They know what they're doing. They know how not to beat themselves, and they know how to put you in a position where you're going to have to overcome your greatest weaknesses. And the Knicks weren't able to do that because they didn't have any creation on the floor. And obviously, again, they were missing shots. So I would say I'm not concerned as of yet, but that's more of a TBD. I'm not going to give them any grade yet.
So last night you think it was more of a execution thing then?
It was. And, you know, look, it was a Sunday 6 p.m. start after a Saturday night out in South Beach. Am I shocked that the Knicks missed a whole bunch of open threes and maybe weren't the quickest getting back out in transition defense, you know, which led to 31 transition points for the Miami Heat? No, I was not shocked to see that. I don't think we're going to have a repeat of that too many times. You know, that said, and I think we're going to get into it now, I think this team is still getting adjusted to how Mike Brown wants them to play, and I wonder how long that adjustment is going to take.
I mean, what were you referring to with these guys not getting their rest in South Beach? I play with the Dolphins. I always got my 8 hours of sleep down there, kind of, sort of, maybe.
You were, I mean, that's because the Dolphins were your team. You were not tempted by the fruits of what, you know, lies out there on South Beach. If you're a visiting player, maybe it's a different story.
All right. Let's talk about this buy-in, though, because overall, does it look like this team is kind of bought in? Again, small sample size. And is there any concerns coming out of this first week that you feel like maybe surrounding this team, or are they where you think they should be 3 games into the season?
Yeah, I mean, look, 2-1 after 3 games. They've played 3 quality opponents. I think that's fine. I think their record is going to be fine over the long haul. they shot 54 threes last night. To me, and a lot of people I know are concerned about that. Should they be taking that many threes? To me, that's the best sign that there is buy-in, because we talked about it all last year. This team is filled with guys who can shoot the three pretty well, but that's not necessarily what they want to do. A lot of these guys like dribbling inside the arc. They like shooting, from the short mid range. So the fact that they went out there and for 3 games, really, they have, for the most part, been taking every open three available to them. I think that's a sign of buy in. It's also, I think you look at the results, they are one of the bottom 5 3-point shooting teams in the league by percentage. That's a sign that maybe we need to give them a little bit more time to adjust to that. The one guy that I do have my eye on, and I have been accused of being overly critical of this player in the past, so I'll put that out there, is Karl-Anthony Towns, because he has been a guy who, I always say he doesn't want to, he says he's the greatest shooting big man of all time, but he wants to play like Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant, a great shooter, can shoot the three, but Kevin Durant likes to operate inside the arc. I think Karl likes to do the same. And I wonder in this offense, where, again, if you're open behind the 3-point line, you got to shoot it. And teams are kind of always going to, play him to take away that drive. How long is it going to take him to get comfortable? Is he okay with what they're asking him to do? He was having a long conversation with Mike Brown on the sideline last night. That was interesting to me, and it's definitely going to be something I'm going to be keeping an eye on moving forward.
All right, J-Mac, we're going to be keeping an eye up on you, Mr. TV star. Appreciate you hopping on with this, man. I'll see you soon.
Appreciate you, Brandon. Thank you.